Thanksgiving slate of games was amazing. One of the best slates I've seen. And every game was a banger. Every game was a hit. Every game went down to the wire. The final game, Ravens, Bengals. This was an interesting game, but there was still enough to keep you entertained. Unlike most Thanksgivings, one of these games are a blowout. One of these games, like, why the fuck am I seeing this on the schedule? And then Bears Eagles on Black Friday was a really good game too. Here's my breakdown of everything that happened this Thanksgiving, Black Friday, all that included. Let's start off with Lions Packers. Now the Packers came out here and just returned the Lions back to the laughingstock of Thanksgiving. This was a tough loss, and they lost in so many ways in this game with the St. Brown injury, Jared Goff not playing well, just a lot of stuff that didn't go their way. The Packers, on the other hand, Jordan Love, 4 passing touchdowns. He was elite. Played like a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And all the Matt LaFleur issues, Matt LaFleur needs to be fired. That shit needs to go out the window because this guy is one of the best coaches in football right now, one of the best offensive minds. For the first time since 2020, the Packers sweep the Lions. Everything was clicking for them offensively. Jordan Love, like I said, 4 passing touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, 83 yards rushing. Wicks had a huge game. That 4th down conversion was amazing to seal the victory. And him and Jordan Love were connecting at a high level. And then Christian Watson, he finally looks healthy. He had 2 receiving touchdowns and almost 100 yards receiving in this game. Dominant. The secondary for the Lions, they like to run a lot of man coverage. Didn't work. Jordan Love diced their asses up. And this is right around the time where Jordan Love picks things up. And yeah, in usual fashion, he was dominant on Thanksgiving and put up a great performance. And then Micah Parsons, the exact reason you bring him in, 2.5 sacks in this game, 10 pressures, 4 quarterback hits. Against these NFC North teams, he's been dominating. And the Packers in this game showed that week 1 was not a fluke. I said the Packers were going to miss the playoffs. I wasn't sure about this team. The inconsistencies with this team, Jordan Love shut me up with a great performance. The Packers defense was as good as it could be against the Detroit Lions team. Jameson Williams had a nice game, but it wasn't enough. Jared Goff looked rattled in this game, didn't play his best. Dan Campbell, this offense could not find its rhythm to take down the Packers and respond every single time the Packers, put up points in this one. So I thought the Packers, this is a team that looks like a Super Bowl contender. They showed that week 1 was not a fluke, like I said. They showed that they can hang with the big dogs. They can win games like this, and they're better than Detroit. Detroit is, taking a couple steps down in the NFC North. They went from being 15-2 last year to now might not even make the playoffs. And it's going to be tough sledding for this Detroit Lions team. I know their center just came out of retirement. Huge addition because their offensive line has been terrible. But how much of an impact will it make against the Rams? How much will it help them against the Cowboys, who will dice this Lions secondary up? Man coverage will not work against George Pickens. Man coverage will not work against CeeDee Lamb. Dak Prescott's playing at an elite level. Javonte Williams is going to have success in the run game. And then Quinyon Williams. If Frank doesn't play against Quinyon Williams, it's over. That's a tough matchup for him to face right out the gates. So I think the Lions playing the Rams, playing the Cowboys, those are 2 must-win games. And the Cowboys are the hottest team in the NFL, while the Rams are the best team in the NFC. So it's just not looking good for them. And in those games, you're not going to have St. Brown more than likely. You're not going to have St. Brown next week. He's going to miss at least 1 game with his ankle injury. Thankfully, it wasn't, an injury that's going to put him on IR. But not really confident in this Lions team. This team, there were talks about the Super Bowl window being closed. There were talks about Ben Johnson leaving. That's going to be huge staying on this team. And it's looking like all those things are going to come true for this team. And in the NFC North and in the NFC, you have to win 11 games to be sure you're going to make the playoffs. In the NFC North, it's no margin of error anymore. Detroit's not just going to coast through the division like they've done previously. No more of that. And don't let Kevin O'Connell get a good quarterback either. So tough sledding for Detroit. I don't think they'll make the playoffs now. It's not looking good for them. They got to play the Bears again one more time. And I know they blew the Bears out in the first meeting between the 2 teams. This Bears team looks different. This Bears team has the best offensive line in the NFL. And this run game's insane. They just took it to the Eagles. Dominated them like no team has this season. So that might be a loss for them. So I think the Packers reemerge as a Super Bowl contender. They proved themselves to be a team that's going to give the Bears everything they got, potentially take them down for the NFC North. You got to feel confident in this Packers team right now. They got a tough schedule coming up with that team that showed up against the Detroit Lions. They'll be fine. Now, Chiefs versus Cowboys. Chiefs, man, this is another team. No Lions, no Ravens, no Chiefs. Could those three teams potentially miss out on the playoffs? The Chiefs, now they have three starting offensive linemen that are hurt. Josh Simmons, Jawan Taylor, Trey Smith. Those guys are all banged up. They all potentially could miss a game against the Texans, and that's not a matchup you don't want to have good quality offensive linemen against. Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter. They have two guys that have double-digit sacks already, 12 weeks into the season. And the secondary for the Texans is elite. The days of, Patrick Mahomes just being elite, dragging a Chiefs team that has holes on their roster, those days are over. Patrick Mahomes has done everything to help this team stay competitive. They still have 5 losses on the season. They lost to Denver too. They've lost 3 of the last 4 must-win games that they needed to win. Cowboys really sealed their fate. Them losing to the Cowboys is fucking crazy. That's just the story of this season. Penalties, mistakes, drops. Just this defense. Trent McDuffie's a great corner, but him and Watson had no answer for George Pickens or CeeDee Lamb. And Dak Prescott lit their ass up. And Quinnen Williams had a day. Quinnen Williams was really effective up the middle. So Cowboys look like the better football team. Their offense looked like the more explosive offense. So it's tough sledding for the Chiefs as well. You know it's bad when Nick Wright ain't post shit on Twitter after a weekend of football. He ain't post shit about Thanksgiving games. He was quiet. But this team has Houston up next. The Chargers. That's not an easy football game with Damar and Hampton back potentially. Denver again. They're sitting at 6 losses right now. In the AFC, is that good enough? You lose. I think you're probably going to lose to the Texans. So 7 losses. Is that good enough to get in the AFC playoffs? Maybe. Jacksonville has a tiebreaker over you. The Chargers, we'll see what happens in that game if you could beat them. But I think the Texans, they're going to have the tiebreaker over you as well. I thought they were going to build some momentum off the Colts game, but yeah, they just really resorted back to unproven, inconsistent team. And, you could talk about dynasties. You could, get into, Tom Brady would have never done this. The Patriots, this would have never happened to them. And while that is true, insane to see the Chiefs struggle this much and this team just not be able to get into the playoffs. That would be insane. But that's, I think, the direction we're headed with this team, especially given their offensive line that was, playing not as well when healthy. But now without these guys, I can't imagine what that will look like. The Cowboys, on the other hand, this is one of the hottest teams in the NFL. I really like their chances to get in the playoffs now, beating a Chiefs team, beating the Eagles, 2 of the last Super Bowl winners in 4 games. Now, Brian Schottenheimer, he's a fantastic coach. He's done a great job this season. Really, the energy he's brought on this team, how good the offense is looking. You get George Pickens in the mix, and it doesn't hinder your team by any means. His, personality, whatever you want to say about him as a person, that has not disrupted this team. If anything, he's having a career year. He's second in receiving yards behind only JSN, and we know how good JSN's been this year. 1,142 yards receiving this season. Just been phenomenal, and at times he's been the receiver 1. And, Schottenheimer has still made sure him and CeeDee Lamb are both eating. CeeDee Lamb just had his best game. CeeDee Lamb was elite against the Chiefs. Both receivers put up 200 yards combined, 13 catches, and a touchdown. So this duo is the best duo in the NFL. Both guys are playing at a high level. George Pickens hurdling motherfuckers. You can't guard these two. Either you give up a big play to them, either they dominate you, or you get in a DPI. So it is really no ands if or but about it. Dak Prescott's playing at a high level. Javonte Williams is running the ball really well. He's 55 yards away from a 1,000-yard season. The offensive line is getting healthier. I think they just were missing Tyler Guyton, but really like what I'm seeing for this defense too. And Matt Eberflus, while he was a terrible head coach for the Chicago Bears, he's a good defensive mind. And now that he has talent, now he has Logan Wilson, Quinnen Williams, the linebacker from Texas is back fully healthy now. He's been phenomenal. So I really like where this team's headed. They're really like a solid edge and probably a corner and another linebacker from being a really good football team, like being a Super Bowl contender. Right now, this is a playoff team, I think, and they've showed you they could beat anybody just with their last 2 opponents that they, beat. And to the level which they beat them, the Eagles were up 21-0, and they came back and bounced back and beat them without giving up any points in the second half. So this Cowboys team is for real. Give credit to Schottenheimer. Give credit to Jerry Jones for the moves he's made and how he improved this team. Yeah, losing Micah Parsons, obviously what he's doing with Green Bay is insane, but this team looks like it's, made the most of what it's got right now and is in good position to be even better. But George Pickens, you got to pay him. You got to find a way to make that work. But right now, I really like where this team is. Quinnen Williams was a great addition. He has 21 pressures in 3 games and had 19 only in 8 games with the Jets. So he stepped his game up a lot. You got to pay him as well. but I really like how this Cowboys team is. This team feels different. They wouldn't have beat the Chiefs like they did on Thanksgiving night with, Mike McCarthy and previously the vibes around this team, but it looks like they're trending the right direction. They look like a different football team. So excited about the Cowboys. I think they're going to get in the playoffs and they're going to, win out. I think they're going to beat Detroit. They got Minnesota. They're going to win that game. Chargers, I think they're going to beat the Chargers. Washington and the Giants, they're going to win out. 5 games, and they're going to go into the playoffs 11-5, 11-5-1. Now, ironically, with the AFC North, Bengals versus Ravens, yeah, Lamar and this Ravens offense, it really hasn't found its footing. Lamar is not healthy. It's clear as day. And when this offense is not finding success, this offense is like trending down within the game, Lamar gets less confident. He has these goofy ass turnovers that always occur, like that fumble he had when he saw Zay Flowers down the field in the middle. Last 3 games, he hasn't had a touchdown, sacked 8 times, 5 total turnovers, 3 interceptions, 2 fumbles. So the turnovers have been an issue. Lamar hasn't been at his best, and this Ravens team, no margin of error. We expected this team to make the playoffs after starting 1-5, but with a game like this, with Lamar Jackson continuing to struggle, it's looking like the Ravens could potentially miss the playoffs more than likely. Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, those 2 guys not in the AFC. It's up for grabs in the AFC. Who's going to win the AFC? Is it the Bengals? Could the Bengals go on a run? Joe Burrow, how he looked first game, he looked healthy. On the flip side, he looked like the healthy quarterback. He made throws. He made all the right throws, extending plays. His foot injury did not look like an issue. Making throws on the run. 261 yards passing, 2 passing touchdowns, was efficient on 3rd down, made all the plays. And defensively, this defense, Joe Burrow's back. All right, we're ready. We're stepping up our game a lot. Trading away Logan Wilson, making, this defense being super young. It didn't matter. 41% pressure rate on Lamar Jackson. So Al Golden did a great job with his Bengals defense, and they stepped up to the plate for their quarterback. And this team, yeah, it feels different when you got Joe Burrow out there. And when T. Higgins comes back too, yeah, this team could go on a run and win this division going 8-9. The Ravens continue to struggle with the Steelers, uncertainty about that football team. The Bengals still have a shot. Ironically, with them being 4-8 right now. It's nice that Hard Knocks is following this division. Really excited about how that turns out for the rest of the season. But yeah, it looks like the Bengals have a shot to win this division. The last game, Black Friday, Bears took it to the Eagles, dominated them completely. This game was a lot closer because of the Eagles surge at the end, but the run game was unstoppable. The offensive line just imposed their will over Eagles defensive line. Jalen Carter, all those guys, they were no match for Joe Thuney, Ozzie Trapillo. I mean, Nolan Smith had a nice sack, 2 nice sacks. They gave credit to Jalen Carter because he finished the sack. He's one of one. 4.3, speed off the edge. But Ozzie Trapillo looks great at the left tackle position. This Bears team looks legit. This was a legit win by them, a diamond tester win. They passed the test. The Eagles, on the other hand, yeah, it doesn't look good for them either. They're going to get in the playoffs still. I don't know if they win their division with how the Cowboys have looked, only just 1 game back with 5 losses while the Eagles have 4. But you could put a lot of blame on the offensive coordinator. Jalen Hurts did not play his best game. Jalen Hurts did not look good out there. Minus the times he gave A.J. Brown a shot and minus him connecting with A.J. Brown a couple times. A.J. Brown was phenomenal. A.J. Brown was great in this game. His nice touchdown grab over Nashawn Wright. But other than that, a lot of missed throws. You see a couple plays where it looks like the ball was batted down. No, it was just Jalen Hurts completely missing him. And the interception to Kevin Byard, just, a lot of mistakes. Jalen Hurts was not at his best, but I trust this team. This team is resilient. This team is good enough to bounce back from this and get into the playoffs. But this does feel like a 2023 season where things are going to be really disappointing. It's just ironic how the timeline goes for this team. They go to the Super Bowl, their ass, go to the Super Bowl. Their ass, go to the Super Bowl, their ass again. Then they'll go to the Super Bowl again. This team is interesting. I don't think Nick Sirianni should be fired, but I definitely think there are some changes that need to be made with the offensive coordinator. I don't think he's given this team the best shot. I don't think this team is has the right energy either. This team just looked defeated. This team didn't want to be out there. That's what it looked like, how much the Bears were dominating them, how much the Bears were the more physical team. Exactly how the Eagles are, the Bears did that. And it was really surprising to see the Eagles get done like that because we haven't seen it all season. 2 100-yard rushers for the Bears for the first time since 1985. So the Bears took it to the Eagles and took their chain, basically. You CJ Gardner-Johnson saying this offense was very predictable. And yeah, To be honest, it was. Saquon Barkley, the offense showed life at the end, but this was a very disappointing performance for the Eagles and very concerning. Safe to say that I don't think this team makes it back to the Super Bowl. I don't think they could beat the Rams. They just showed that they can't beat the Bears. Packers, if they see them again in the playoffs, who knows what happens with that, but it's very concerning times for the Eagles. Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.